Welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader, and there is a company up in Canada called Fourth Moon Toys. I've talked about them in the past. I believe it's owned by a gentleman named Mike Freeman, and he had a really nice auction of premier level Star Wars items that he had auctioned through a company called Hybid, and all of these auctions ended last night, which is November 24th as of the making of this video. And I want to apologize to Mike because I would have absolutely done like a preview video for these items if I had had the bandwidth to do it. But I have been busy as all get out, and I've got family coming into town and work and all this other stuff. So I didn't get a chance to do a preview video to kind of highlight these items, but there were some really nice items. It wasn't a huge batch of items, but some very nice items that sold at auction through Hybid, and it basically works similar to eBay or anything else, and you just got to register an account. But check out Fourth Moon Toys on the web. Again, they're based in Canada, but Mike is actually, I think, the owner, and he is the gentleman that sold me the Canadian, I think it's a 41 back Dengar. It might be a 45, I can't remember, that he sold me that was ungraded, and I sent it to AFA, and it came back, and it's the single highest graded Canadian 41 back Dengar on AFA's population report. So big thank you to Mike for that item, and a really trusted seller, always has really nice items available. And so go check out Fourth Moon Toys when you get a chance. But let's take a look at these items that sold. Again, it wasn't a huge batch, but really cool items to talk about. And again, all of these prices I'm quoting do not include, to my knowledge, do not include the buyer's premium that Hybid charges, which is 12%. So add 12% to all of these prices. But this was a really cool Kenner Canada Death Star playset. So this is the chipboard Death Star with the box, and this is the Kenner Canada version. So it's got the Canadian French language on the box, and there is the awesome Death Star. This is obviously an iconic item, a very rare item, and very sought after. And it looked absolutely pretty pristine condition. And this one sold for $1975. So let's call that about, $2,100 before shipping, which is kind of in line with some of the other examples that we've seen either on Hakes, or I know Chris W. had over at Rogue 5 Toys on Facebook. He had like 3 or 4 different examples, including 2 Toll Toys Australian examples that sold anywhere from like $2,000 to about $3,500 depending on the rarity. But this one was the Kenner Canada version, and again sold for $1975. Some other Canadian items that were really cool that sold. This was the Canadian box for the Twin Pod Cloud Car. It included the instructions, the Canadian catalog, as well as the Canadian box. And you can see it's got like a special mini action figure offer type thing, and just a really cool example there. And that one sold for $560. I think mainly because of this box. You can see that it's got the French language on there, La Guerre des Étoiles, and some kind of special offer sticker on there. So very cool example, $560 on that. Next up was the Canadian Land of the Jawas with the special offer sticker. Again, probably a very rare box for the Land of the Jawas. You have the Canadian box, which is already rare, right? Since it has the French language on there, but then it also has the special offer sticker, which probably is even a bigger subset of rarity. So that was complete loose, not like sealed or anything for any of these items, but just really rare Canadian items that I think would be highly sought after for certain collectors looking for foreign variants. That one sold for $420. They also had a very desirable Canadian box for the Sandcrawler. How cool is that? So it's 100% complete. The Sandcrawler itself was in excellent condition. It also included the catalog as well as the instruction sheet, and then of course the box, which has the French language on there. So what an awesome item that is. That one sold for $1,900, which I would argue is actually a really fair price, just given that a US example, we've seen I think 1 or 2 very similar to this, maybe even in worse condition, that are just the standard US box. This is the Empire Strikes Back Canadian box. So this is a very rare item, I would imagine. So $1,900 on that is, I think, very, very fair price. Next up was just, this was just a standard land speeder die cast on a US card, it looks like. And, it had a price sticker on there that was taped with actual tape. I don't know if you can see that there. Let's see. So that gives you a nice close-up there that shows you the sticker on there, ShopRite sticker with 2 pieces of tape. The tape is obviously yellowed, so it's legit. But the actual item itself was in really great shape. Clear blister or clear-ish unpunched card. And that one sold for $250. So another very good price there. The back, it looks like it had some kind of sticker there, price sticker on the back of that. But that was a really nice example and pretty cool with a very interesting sales, shop sticker there that's kind of taped on there. And that one sold for, again, $250 US. Now, this item is crazy. We have to talk about this item in detail. All right. So it's labeled as a vintage Star Wars church presentation suitcase. All right. Now it sold for $1,300. So I was reading about this. You can see how cool the item looks. It's like something out of like a World War II spies decoder set. I mean, this is a really, really cool item. And it's got like a record player on there and then some Star Wars items. But check out the label on this. Edward McNulty was a pastor in New Jersey who combined his love of movies and pop culture with his ministry. He developed this multimedia kit for churches to give presentations to spur conversations about Christianity. The suitcase itself is great. You can tell that this thing crisscrossed America several times. Churches could order the kit from McNulty and he would send it out and they would return it by mail. How crazy is this? The suitcase contains Super 8 film of Star Wars scenes, reel-to-reel cassettes with soundtrack for presentation, 4 carousels of slides, manila envelope with presentation notes that contains Star Wars church retreat flyer, promotional materials and catalogs for visual parables, slide timing notes, presentation notes, all kinds of just really interesting stuff. So this is a true piece of Star Wars cultural history. The fact that it was made and then he would ship it out to other ministries and they would ship it back. So it's like it's been all over the place. This is a really interesting item. Okay, I'm not saying it's for me, but I can understand why it sold for the price it did of $1,300. I would actually argue that's probably too low. This is like a one-of-one type of item. And for those that collect esoteric or oddball items, this is absolutely just one of those crazy items that I've never seen before. And I just had to show this. I mean, this is just so cool to see how people would use Star Wars in the church. And there are a lot of religious themes, obviously, in Star Wars, as a whole, as a franchise as a whole. But the story and just like looking at this thing is just such a crazy item that I had to show it. So very, very cool item and certainly a one-of-one in terms of rarity. $1,300 on that. But anyway, I just thought that was cool. Some more standard items that were also very nice, though. These were all graded proof cards. So we had an AFA 85 Power Droid Revenge of the Jedi proof card. That one sold for $900. That's a really low number there, even accounting for the buyer's premium. Let's call that about $1,000 for an AFA 85 Power Droid Revenge of the Jedi proof card. They had a Lando. That one actually sold for more. That was an AFA 80 plus archival case, and that one sold for $1,140. The Revenge of the Jedi R5D4 proof card was graded AFA 80 and sold for $920. And the Han Solo was only an AFA 60, but just kind of cool to see that. And Revenge of the Jedi Han Solo Hoth outfit AFA 60, that sold for $880. And then the Luke Skywalker X-Wing pilot was an AFA 85, and that one kind of sold for more in line with fair market value, even below fair market value, I would argue, relative to the one that sold on Hakes was in the 2,500 range, if I remember, in the last auction. This one sold for $1,750. So there were some good deals here on more standard items. Ben Kenobi was an AFA 80. That one sold for $1,030. So obviously the Power Droid was probably the best. You could make an argument that some of these were kind of, they were maybe not really AFA 85s anymore. This card looked like it had some weird kind of blister issues or litho card issues on the card. So some of these were not, they were labeled AFA 85, but once you zoom in on them, you could see some a little bit of damage to them. But still, even in the current condition, even if you send it back to get graded, it probably gets an 80 or an 80 plus, and to get it for $900, that's a really good deal there. So those were all the proof cards. Here were some other kind of off the wall items I wanted to show you. This is Phil Tippett handwritten production notes for The Empire Strikes Back. So handwritten notes from ESB, 20 pages of notes as he worked on the stop motion Tauntaun scenes for The Empire Strikes Back. These notes show the painstaking work that went into animating the Tauntaun to make it move and act like a living creature. They contain notes, drawings of each iteration that he was working on, and it includes an original prop store COA signed by Phil Tippett. So these are all authentic, very cool items, though. I mean, it's just these are kind of things you'll never see anywhere else. That sold for $520. So there's a lot of people that only collect movie memorabilia or props and things like that. So this would be the perfect addition to someone's collection for something like that. Next up, again, some more common, maybe not common, but more in line with traditional Star Wars action figures. This was a Canadian 65 back A Luke Jedi Knight that was unpunched and in very good condition. We've seen some examples of these that are AFA graded that sold on eBay. I don't know when, several months ago, but it was big money. I mean, $1,500 plus. This one sold for $525, which I thought was a great deal. The Snow Trooper. This was a 65A Canadian Snow Trooper with the offer sticker there. And that one sold for $280, a very good deal on that. And here was a Canadian 77 back B Boba Fett that was in really beautiful condition. Very light yellowing to the blister with just a light crease in the upper left-hand corner. But that was a beautiful example. That one sold for kind of more in line with market at $22.75. Although I would argue the Snow Trooper and the Luke went, I would say, significantly below fair market value. This was an incredible item as well. This was an internal Power of the Force concept board pre-production piece. So this was when they were first designing the Power of the Force card backs. And you can see that this says Star Wars The Space Saga. It's almost like a cromolin for it. And it's not graded, but you can tell very clearly that this is kind of a pre-production Kenner internal piece. So, wow, how cool is that? It's even got kind of like chalk and writing on the logo that they did there. And that one sold for big money at $16.50, although, to me, that's worth more than what that one sold for. I would have gladly paid that price if I'd had any money. But I was bidding on some Tri-Logos. I lost everything. So these were all ending before the Tri-Logos I was bidding on ended. So I didn't get a chance to bid on these. I could only pick one or two, but it seems like I picked the wrong auctions because I got outbid on everything. Here's some other cool examples. This was a Boba Fett Droids pre-production layout artwork for the cartoon. This was for the Droids or Ewoks. It was from Brian LeMay, who worked on the Droids and Ewoks cartoon. So this is kind of like a early sketch for what Boba Fett was going to look like in the Droids cartoon. So very cool there. And that one sold for $320. And then they had a Clone Wars one that shows Anakin, hand-drawn storyboard for Anakin. And so you can kind of see how the storyboard... So when they were doing cartoons, they do storyboards to kind of give you an idea of how the story's going to play out and what they would show on screen. That one sold for $400 US. And then for one modern item I had to show you, this was a Power of the Force 2 pre-production mock-up for Nine Num. So this is from the Power of the Force 2 line, and they use kind of a bunch of, rough card back stuff. Obviously we know and love the Power of the Force 2 logo, but this was kind of using a sheet of, different, cardboard to make what a mock-up would look like for Nine Num inside the Power of the Force 2 on the card back. So You see these all the time. They're not particularly rare. They're not particularly easy to find either, but you do see them for sale occasionally. But that one I thought was a good deal at $400. I mean, a first shot prototype, unpainted 9 num. I mean, I paid $250 to $300 for it, and this one was a pre-production 9 num, admittedly painted. It's kind of a final engineering prototype for the figure, but it's mocked up on a card back there. So a little bit later stage prototype, but it's on a card back, a mocked up card back. So I thought $400 was a very good deal. I was thinking like $800 to $1,000 would be where this one would sell at. So somebody got a really good deal on that as well. But be sure to go check out Fourth Moon Toys. They have a lot of vintage Kenner as well as modern items for sale on their website. You can just Google them and it'll pop up immediately if you type in Fourth Moon Toys Canada. And a really nice lot of items that I just wanted to show you guys. And I'm sorry again to Mike that I wasn't able to do a preview auction kind of video for these items. I just couldn't make it happen with my schedule over the last week and a half. So thank you as always for watching. I hope you enjoyed this look. Please leave me a like if you enjoyed the video, and I'll be back soon.